Welcome to the Cities Are for Living podcast, an official podcast of the International Project Management Association. Join hosts Dr. Beverly Passian from the Netherlands and Peter Ahmad from South Africa as they explore this world of smart and livable cities. Through the stories and perspectives shared by project managers across the globe, each episode seeks to offer valuable insights, practical advice, and engaging discussions on the latest best practices in the project management field. The Cities Are for Living podcast is for project managers, built environment professionals, and community groups interested in expanding a community of practice, maximizing the impacts of projects across the globe, and enhancing the quality of life for all citizens. In this episode of the Cities Are for Living podcast, we welcome our distinguished guest, Professor George Zissis from the French University of Toulouse. Working in the domain of light sources, science and technology, George coordinates the Light and Matter research team and is also the director of the French Research Federation, Habitat and Habitant. As a recognised authority in smart city technologies and lighting, Professor Zissis provides valuable insights into how innovative lighting solutions can reshape urban landscapes, improve quality of life, and address the requirements of varied population and community groups. Our conversation traverses continents and disciplines and encompasses several key themes. These include the influence of lighting on energy efficiency and public health, the challenges and prospects associated with deploying smart lighting and systems across cities of different sizes. Particular interest was the delicate balance and relationship between lighting, safety and biodiversity. And it's fair to say we hadn't expected this to be a topic of conversation in our interview. The professor advocates strongly for interdisciplinary collaboration and modular approaches to smart city infrastructure. And it's therefore no surprise that this episode will hold particular relevance and interest for project managers, city planners, engineers and policymakers. For that matter, anyone who's interested in the evolution of urban environments. We invite you to listen in as we delve into the forefront of smart city advancements with Professor George Zissis. Hope you'll enjoy the episode. Welcome back to the Cities Are for Living podcast. It's the 19th of August. The year is flying past, but I'm absolutely delighted to be back on the line, across the borders, across the equator, up north to Den Haag. How are you, Beverly? Nice to see you again. What's news your side?
Oh, hi, Pete. Thanks very much. Things are great. It's been a lovely summer. People ask me here if I gone anywhere, and my answer is I go to the second floor of my house because I had installed in Dutch they call it a decapel, which is basically just an extension. And so what had been my attic is now a second floor of my house and air conditioning. So I am very much enjoying my staycation.
Sounds like you've got it all sorted there and you've got your aircon working. And in Cape Town, we've had pretty miserable weather for the last couple of months, in fact. So again, I say the smallest violin playing for you there, having to use your aircon. Most importantly, and across the European borders, also in the intro, we're saying he is really been suffering from the heat there, 40 plus degrees. Our esteemed guest, Professor George Zissis. Welcome, George. Where do we find you this evening, sir? Welcome to our podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. Where are you this evening?
In the opposite of Beverly, I left my air conditioning in the office, and I am somewhere in the middle France, 2 hours north of Toulouse, in a very nice place, famous prehistoric place, and also near Dordogne River. That was the border between France and England during the 100-Year War. You have medieval castles everywhere. Wow. Yeah, but not possible to move a lot around because it is very, very hot. Today it's okay, but till yesterday we had 40 plus here, degrees C.
That's pretty rapid by any metric, George. I'm a big fan of the cycling. I've got to ask you, did the Tour de France come anywhere near you a couple of weeks ago when the tour was on?
Yes, this is I have the chance that in France we have 4 weeks of holiday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think France has the most number of mandated holidays in all European.
No. Spanish people, they are more lucky than us.
Okay. All right. Well, I think perhaps you have more fun than the Spaniards on your holidays. George, you and I have been working within the IEEE circles now for, 3 years, I guess? Maybe a bit more?
A little bit more, I think.
Yeah. We cross paths because of the work that I've been doing with Dortmund University of Applied Sciences, looking at the projects and engineering associated with smart cities. It was always my wish to bring the regional conference that we manage with Dortmund to a global audience. And it was always my wish that we get the attention of IEEE Smart Cities. And we did earlier than I expected, actually, because of the quality of the conferences. And when we first met, or when you first heard of the quality of life in smart cities message that I and my colleagues, investigate, what appealed to you about it from an IEEE perspective?
I think smart cities is really a cutting edge object, not only for research, but also from technology advance, all that for the benefit of the humanity. And if I take technology for the benefit of the humanity, this is the IEEE byline. And smart cities is exactly inside that. What we are doing in a smart cities technical community within IEEE, in fact, we try to create and make available a background and a playground, is better to use that term, for people from academia, from industry, for policymakers, and also for people from local authorities, in order to be able to discuss without any confidentiality constraint, different advances in the domain, bring new ideas, exchange ideas, and that way go forward and establish more and more smart city technologies. When we speak about smart cities, we don't speak only about megapoles. We speak for any size. Smart city can be from a small village somewhere in Africa, India, up to a city like Mexico or Paris or Singapore. The funny thing with this kind of technology, we can adapt it, the size of the people, and the technology has to be adapted also to the humans. Social science is very important here.
So many things to unpack from that. But for our listeners, let's just explain to them what IEEE is. You and I have a shorthand, knowing each other as well as we do. So if we could explain to them what IEEE is.
Yes, well, IEEE is the acronym of the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Has been created 62 years ago. I know exactly because it has been established since 1963, and I'm born in 1964. Well, but in fact, IEEE was the merging two very old societies, electrical engineering, radio electricians societies in America that exist since end of 19th century. It's more than 150 years history. Today, IEEE is the largest professional association worldwide. We have, to give you an idea, 460,000 members worldwide. We have a budget that is in the order of $100 billion per year. Inside of that, we put more than $100 million to give prizes every year. To give you just an idea, we just changed our highest prize, which is the Medal of Honor, the IEEE Medal of Honor. From this year and now on, we give a check of $2 million to the winner. Yes.
Holy cow.
We want to do better than Nobel.
Yeah. I'm looking at Peter's face, and I think he's surprised at the circles I run in.
I think I'm in the wrong profession. I'm just a humble town planner,
Don't worry. You can one day win those prize passing through IEEE Smart Cities.
Yes. Yes.
If you join our work.
It's funny you say that, because when this podcast continues, we want to be interviewing in future episodes all of the winners of the Smart City contest. So
just a point, the Smart City contest has $0. No, $2 million.
No.
That sounds more like my level.
Which is why this free publicity would be good for them, maybe. The IEEE it can be intimidating, is the word I'm looking for. It can be intimidating because it has such an esteemed history aimed at the engineers of the world. But I have found that the quality of life message has been better received by engineers than my project management colleagues. Can you explain why that might be?
Well, I think by essence, IEEE is really cross-discipline. Well, maybe
Yeah.
interdiscipline. Cross-discipline is very, very large. But when you look the 460,000 members, they are divided in 30-something societies, 36 if I'm correct. And inside those societies, you have big one and you have some smaller one. And one of those is work in technology management. This is TEMS society, sorry. But you have another one working on the human behavior around electrical technology. In any case, electricity is the center of the life. But yes, and I think people, they like exchange. When we look also what happened mainly in academia worldwide, they are pushing us to do cross-discipline research. This is very important. And inside IEEE, we share cross-discipline research. And we have auditors coming from industry. Then we have to take into account if we want to sell our technology, we want to adapt it to human beings, and then we have to take into account this cross-discipline approach. I think this is the power of IEEE, is the possibility to exchange between different populations.
Indeed, George, I just wanted to come in there. And your speciality is around the lighting, many decades of research and understanding. And it might seem like a really obvious question, but what is the role of lighting within the city environment, and why is that so important? And what are some of the step changes in technology that are starting to impact on the sustainability, resilience, safety, etc. of our communities? I'd love to get your perspective on that, George.
Well, thank you very much for this question. Indeed, lighting is something that it is very important for several points of view. If we start from energy side, today, to give you an idea, lighting is responsible for 2,900 terawatt hours of electricity consumption worldwide, which is 14% of the world electrical production. It's huge. We know that energy is completely spilled, especially when we light up cities. Then you have other effects, which is directly linked to human health. The lighting generally, the variation of light is something that triggers different mechanisms in our bodies. If we are exposed to bad artificial light, then we may have some health problems. Lighting is very important for safety because lighting can make safer a space, but mainly lighting make you feel in safe place, which is not the same thing exactly. But this is interesting. Then lighting has also other effects. For example, when we have stray light and we spill light and we light up the trees, the animals, the birds, the insects, we influence directly our biotope. This can be very dangerous. Lighting today is $140 billion revenue for the industry worldwide. Well, and this value is increasing with a constant rate of 1% since 30 years. You see that lighting has a lot of effects. You spoke about what is the step forward. Well, in fact, to be honest, since beginning of 2005, 2010, we are no more in an evolution process, but we are in a revolution process. Passing from legacy lamps, incandescent lamps, discharge lamps, to LEDs, this create a huge difference. Say from 2005 to end of 2010s, 2018, for example, the technology had a lot of problems due to the young age of the stuff. Today, it became mature and allow us to do things that was not even thinkable 10 years ago. Smart lighting is exactly what we need in the smart cities. Because look around you, you have a lamp somewhere, few meters around your head, inside your room, inside the city, but even in the countryside. That means you have, if you use the lighting grid, you have the densiest grid worldwide. And you can use that grid in order to collect and emit information. And this is the backbone of any smart lighting system. We have the network ready. Now we have to add to that other functionalities, but we have also to protect it against cyber attacks, against not well-intentioned people.
And it's these choices that differ, I think, between cities, between regions, between countries. Some cities might have a project where they're converting all sorts of lighting to an LED environment, whereas other cities or regions might be trying to do more interesting cultural projects with lighting. Do you have any thoughts on where that balance is, or where you think it should be for cities that are trying to maximize quality of life?
If I take the outdoor lighting today, I think worldwide, more than 60% of lighting poles, they are LED technology. And we are going most probably to 100% at the beginning of next decade, because all the legacy technologies have been abandoned. This is no more choice. Now, the problem is that, as you said, cities can make a choice if they wanted to have intelligent street lighting or less intelligent street lighting or completely not intelligent street lighting. I don't like the word intelligent for a system, because a technological system has one single smart component, the human being, and this is not always the case. This I am saying to my students at the introduction of my course. The problem is, if you want to add smart functionalities in the smart lighting or in any kind of system, can be smart transportation, I don't know what other. The problem is the money, and the investment can be very important. If the return on the investment can be rapid, this is not always the case, but it could be in some points. You have to be very careful, because if you cannot put the initial money, the initial investment doesn't make any sense. Some cities, they don't have enough resources to do so. What is interesting here, and what we try to somehow explain to people, is that we needed to have a smart system that is modular and has the possibility to evolve. You start with a minimum level that take care of the security of the main function for what is provided, and this has to be affordable to all. And then it's time that you want to add options. You have to have the right standards. This is a very important point, in order to be able to say, next year I will add parking slot detection. The following year, bird detection, in order to avoid to eliminate a bridge or what other when I have a bird migration. Well, you can imagine different options, and you can go gradually. The lifespan of city lighting system, because we speak about lighting, is 30 to 40 years. That means you can think modular, and this is very important. And this is not only for lighting, could be for everything. And then we can imagine to create economical models that allows you to buy the fundamental system at a normal standard price, and then each time that you add a new option, you are rich to do it, then you pay a couple of dollars more, and this couple of dollars can be used in order to reduce the price of the fundamental system. And you can help people develop their lighting systems.
What you're talking about, George, is lighting as a foundation. And when you have that foundation in place, you can become more sophisticated. And I think, understandably, there are many cities that are still struggling with building that foundation.
And the problem, unfortunately, is that sometimes cities, they don't collaborate. If I look what happened in India, during the last few years, they put billion of rupees. Well, billion of rupees is million of US dollars in order to install smart lighting systems, even in small cities. But then they have another problem there, is that the main issue in India is maintenance. They install complex systems that cost a lot of money. They have money from the government to do it, but then they don't have money, not the knowledge to maintain the system. In few years after, the system is completely dysfunctional or not functional at all. And this make a very bad publicity for this kind of technologies. The same thing, if we put in the streets intelligent cars, if we don't maintain the cars and the car starts to do what they want, it is a danger for all of us. Well,
I'd love to hear from you, based on your global expertise, of where it's really worked, where you think is the sort of the benchmark, if you like, for where it's been done really well. And there's a second part I'd like to add. You talked about the monetary side of the savings on the one hand.
yeah.
I don't know how other municipalities work around the world. What I do know here in South Africa is that obviously we've had serious issues with electrical supply, and also the big shift in the market towards solar systems to support and mitigate the worst impacts for those households that can afford it. But what the impact has been on the municipalities has been a massive downturn in municipal revenue from those services. So it's almost like the swings and roundabouts. So apologies, George, there's two questions there. One, the best case, and second, if you have any perspective around municipal finance and the importance of that, particularly when it comes to selling of power, electricity, and lighting being fundamental to that.
The question is not so easy. I'm not economist. Well, it's very difficult to give a precise response on that. And I suppose also in different countries, the municipalities has different ways of funding. This is complicated to have only one position. But you spoke about solar lighting. Well, to be honest, solar lighting is a true false idea. It's a catastrophe. Because just ask yourself, when you need artificial light from your lighting pole, you don't have light out, natural light. The sun is in the other side of the planet, okay? And when you have the sun, you don't need light in your street. That means what? That means you need to have storage. You store energy. Who's speaking about storage? If you go to poor countries, you speak about lead acid batteries. And this is a catastrophe for the environment. Add to that acid has other uses at home. You see what I mean, especially in India, or lithium batteries, or I don't know what other, and then you may have fire problems. Well, in fact, the best idea will be what? You want to combine solar system and lighting? Yes. Set up your solar system, produce electricity, and sell the electricity at a preferential price to the electricity provider, and then buy the electricity in the evening at a lower price, and the difference will allow you to develop more and more your system. And people say, okay, if we do that, we have autonomous lighting poles. Yes, and we can put those lighting poles in the middle of nowhere. If you put your lighting pole in the middle of nowhere, in a roundabout, here in France we like a lot the roundabouts, in the middle of nowhere, why do you need to light up this area? The cars, they have their headlights. The bicyclists are assumed to have also lights and wear reflective dress. Why do you need to install light in the middle of nowhere? The answer is no, don't do it, because you will destroy your biodiversity around the lighting pole. One lighting pole in a ball shape, can destroy, say, within 1 week, all the insects in a 1 kilometer around. Because what happened? Insects arrive in the light, they turn around because they are programmed to do that. They don't have anything to eat and they fall down dead. You have some spiders that can take advantage for some time. And then as the insects wanted to cover all the space to share the resources, then the insects from around will come and your lighting ball in the middle of nowhere is just a vacuum tube for insects.
I never imagined we were going down the route of a biology lesson tonight.
Wow. This really is one of the most cross-disciplinary topics that we've ever had in these podcasts. Wow. I just felt I went back to school there. Thank you.
I have a PhD student working on the insect vision.
Really?
Because the problem is that many people, when we speak about the influence of parasitic light on the fauna and flora, they are using anthropic units, lux, lumens, and things like that. They are established for our eyes. The insects and other animals, they don't have the same visual response. And my student, Marie Piassi, is working on how to create a new photometry for insects, and then how you can elaborate light sources that are pleasant for humans, but not attractive for insects. This is the second step and will take more time.
I'm just dying to ask, George, is your researcher called Spider-Man?
Oh,
I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
To be honest, my background is physics. I'm a physicist. When I arrived in France, I got my degree in physics in Greece. I'm Greek origin. And when I arrived in France, my laboratory was belonging to electrical engineering. And the lighting is part of electrical engineering. Well, I had to convert myself to electrical engineer. And I told people, you will see if you accept me as electrical engineer, I will show you that you can go further. When I'm doing research, I don't have so many time to do research myself, but I wanted to go to different directions, from biology to economy to social science. The physics of the thing is not the most interesting for me.
Well, and this is what makes you such a connector, I think, of people, George. Your ability to connect, to bring together all of these different dimensions of what happens, for example, at the top of a light pole. You're multilingual in many different ways. And it's that shift that I would like to take now in talking about different people's perspectives. One of the themes of my research that I come back to again and again is the lack of attention or lack of vocabulary to certain stakeholders that need to be served by smart city projects, including lighting. And when I say vocabulary, I mean, perhaps these stakeholders, and I'm thinking specifically of different genders and senior citizens, maybe those stakeholders are part of lighting project conversations, and maybe the vocabulary associated with those stakeholders isn't being brought into the public discussions. But can you comment on what thought is going into addressing the needs of different genders and those past, retirement?
If I want to speak again about lighting, there is an obvious thing concerning genders. Ask people that they circulate in the street in the late evening, and you will find that more and more ladies complain about low street lighting quantity because the cities, they decide to reduce the level of illuminance in order to save money, which is perfectly understandable and also protect the biotop and what you want other. But then you have people feeling unsafe. There is a huge proportion of women that they are feeling unsafe. Finding the way using smart lighting to provide the right light when it is necessary and when it is needed for any people can solve this kind of problems. This principle also can apply to different populations. If you go to remote areas and very poor areas, we're speaking about areas that people live with less than $2 per day, extremely poverty. Those people, they are not connected to the grid because they are living far from the grid. And they are usually using kerosene, oil, or candles to light up. And when you look what is the part in the budget of a small family like that, of this kerosene or petrol for lighting is huge. And then the people, they limit the quantity of light. If now you offer them the possibility to use electric lighting by connecting them in the network or by using photovoltaics, by using also small batteries with LEDs, then the cost is very low and people will continue to make some artwork in the evening that they can sell and they can make more money. Kids, they can study in the night and they can go to the school when possible, which is a huge progress for the humanity. Small thing with huge impact, but very difficult to quantify the impact.
My eyes are opening so wide right now to the world of lighting as a common thread through the smart city world that I'm studying. It's a real education speaking to you, George. It really is.
I think what's been very clear to me, George, is that we're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
We could talk for hours on this, and it would be great if we can get you back, perhaps one or two of your research students as well, to discuss this further, to understand the scope, the vision, and the possibilities. And I think that's a lot of what we try to get here on the podcast, is about understanding, inspiring, and learning from what's going on. So thank you so much this evening for sharing in your own personal time. But George, maybe before we wrap, just where can people find out more about the IEEE in terms of websites and so forth? Perhaps you'd like to share that.
IEEE itself is IEEE.org. You are immediately there. But if you type in Google IEEE Smart Cities, you go immediately to our webpage, IEEE Smart Lighting Initiative, and you get the webpage.
Thank you, George. You're one in a million.
Bye-bye.
Really appreciate your time, Beverly. Always good to see you. Please look after
too,
yourselves,
sir.
and we look forward to catching up again in due course. Have a great
Absolutely.
evening,
To all of you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye, gentlemen.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Cities Are for Living podcast of the IPMA, the International Project Management Association. Please feel free to send us feedback, your thoughts on the content we provided, and if you'd like to get involved via sur@ipma.world. The SUR standing for Smarter Urban Rural, one of the task teams that's alluded to in one of our pilot episodes. So sur@ipma.world. We'd love to hear your feedback, and please get in contact. Tell us what you think.